Tonight, a pregnant woman punched in the stomach during a terrifying robbery at her Seven Hills home. Tributes for the volunteer firefighter who died battling a blaze in the Hunter. The Treasurer flags major changes to superannuation tax breaks. 41 stories up. Why were these school kids playing on the top of a city high-rise? And the biggest broadcast deal in rugby league history. How it will change the way you watch the game.
This is 9 News with Georgie Gardner.
Good evening. 2 men are on the run tonight and a third is in police custody, accused of terrorising a pregnant mother of 3 at Seven Hills. The victim has told 9 News the attack was not random.
She's 18 weeks pregnant and living in fear.
I just instantly thought I'm going to lose this baby.
Afraid to show her face after a violent and terrifying attack in the driveway of her Seven Hills home early this morning.
Once he grabbed me out of the car, he grabbed me by the throat and punched me in the stomach, and he made it quite clear that he had a knife, pulled it and pretty much in my face against my throat.
At the same time, 2 other men allegedly tried to force their way into the home. The mother of 3 has told police one of them is an ex-boyfriend.
Any level of violence used against a woman is completely unacceptable.
The 24-year-old claims her partner was also threatened before the trio took off in his silver Commodore. The Commodore was found burnt out in Toongabbie and was brought here to Mount Druitt to be examined by police. But the worst part for the victims is that it wasn't insured. Tonight, one of the men is in police custody. Anyone who knows the whereabouts of the 2 others is asked to come forward.
I can guarantee that anybody who wants to remain anonymous will remain so if they contact Crime Stoppers.
Cassandra Wood, 9 News.
Wealthy retirees could lose some concessions on their super earnings to help pay for income tax cuts. It's one option the Treasurer has put on the table as part of a wide-ranging economic overhaul.
The economy.
It's part of a long conversation Scott Morrison wants to have.
And so today let me talk a little bit more.
And talk he did about reforming the tax and superannuation systems.
An efficient tax system and economy may involve trade-offs.
Reform, he said, could include capping contributions and winding back super concessions to help fund tax cuts elsewhere.
Could the costs of providing superannuation tax concessions, for example, be directed elsewhere in the economy to make it work more efficiently, such as personal income tax cuts?
Labor first raised cutting tax breaks on super earnings back in April. Scott Morrison's previously rejected it.
He's a political chameleon and the government's chief hypocrite.
Despite the politics, there is some consensus on super, though the gap's widened on climate change, with Bill Shorten setting a path to cut emissions by 45% by 2030. And on the eve of the Paris Climate Change Summit, he's aiming for net zero emissions by 2050.
Australia can lower emissions and lift economic growth. We can cut pollution and create jobs.
He'd have to introduce a carbon tax at twice the last rate and smashing household budget costs and costing jobs and growth. So it's a mad
there won't be. No, there won't be.
There's no other way of achieving it.
Lane Kelcart, 9 News.
The firefighting community is tonight mourning the loss of one of its own. 48-year-old volunteer firefighter Paul Sanderson suffered a heart attack while battling a blaze in the Hunter region.
He was simply wanting to make a difference in his community and seek to serve and protect the lives of others.
The fire near Kurri Kurri is now under control. 5 people remain in a critical condition in the aftermath of the South Australian bushfires. 2 people died in the blazes that are now contained. 87 homes are confirmed to have been lost, while interstate crews and an easing of the strong winds have given local fire teams some respite. The very top brass of our police force has made a startling admission that officers are actively becoming the targets of terrorist groups. In the wake of Curtis Cheng's murder, more than $20 million will be spent upgrading security at police stations across Sydney.
His assassination rattled a force that prides itself on its strength, and today's security announcement came with a sobering acknowledgement.
The reality is, for a police officer in Australia, we are at significant risk.
$25 million for immediate upgrades to some 200 police stations. The specifics are classified, but reinforced glass shields and jump barriers will be installed at the Sydney Police Centre in Surrey Hills, the Academy at Goulburn, as well as Parramatta's police headquarters.
Where there is a need to protect our police, we will pursue it.
IT worker Curtis Cheng's murder by radicalised teen Farhad Jabbar was tragic but telling for police who know their stations are targets. In 1998, officers ducked for cover as 17 shots were fired into Lakemba Police Station. And last year in Melbourne, 2 officers were stabbed by a teenage jihadi who they later shot dead. Still, the union thinks more needs to be done.
The next stage of this is making sure that police officers have adequate vests, load-bearing vests, and we're working with the government right now.
As part of the big security spend, the New South Wales Police Force will buy another one of these, a fixed-wing aircraft to give them an extra eye in the sky. It will be used to combat terrorism as well as in high-risk operations. Just another tool for police to use in dangerous environments. A step to not only keep the community safe, but themselves too. Chris O'Keefe, 9 News.
It can be a fine line between having fun and being stupid. For a group of teenagers playing on the roof of a high-rise apartment tower in central Sydney, it was a fine line indeed. One slip meant death.
41 stories high and without a care in the world. The group of teenagers were filmed over several weeks, free-ranging on top of the apartment building near Weld Square in the city. At one stage, they take happy snaps, a step away from a drop of more than 100 metres. On another day, 2 run through an exit door only to be chased and caught by the building's security and then escorted back inside. Another day, another dare. A group of school kids with backpacks are captured climbing down a ladder, jumping down before making their escape. On one occasion, a teenager dangles his legs over the edge as a friend takes a photo.
Oh, what?
Oh, no way, dude. Then, yesterday,
he's running.
3 of the group gets a bird's eye view as the police arrive to investigate their antics.
They had the car.
Freaking out. Minutes later, they're escorted from the building by officers. 5 teenagers facing serious charges. But given their ages, police exercise some discretion. They're given a serious warning and allowed to walk free. Mark Burrows, 9 News.
It's the greatest broadcast deal in the NRL's history. Today, a $1.9 billion contract was made official, delivering more rugby league to fans than ever before.
With the stroke of a pen and a handshake, footy suddenly got a whole lot richer.
Today we're announcing the biggest broadcasting deal in the history of rugby league.
It's worth close to $1.9 billion. But the players will have to work just as hard for that money, with games on 5 days a week.
We're trying to make sure that we work with our players and the RLPA to minimise 5-day turnarounds. What I can tell you is that next year they'll be flatlined. They'll be exactly the same number they were in 2015.
Fox Sports is back on board as a broadcast partner.
We love the NRL.
But his boss was not as gushing a few months ago, angry at being blindsided by the free-to-air deal with Channel 9 and then jumping into bed with the AFL.
We've always believed that this is the premium code in Australia.
We love both our children equally.
Next year, games will be live on 9 on Thursday and Friday nights and Sunday afternoons. 9 has also secured the main Saturday matches for the last 5 weeks of the regular competition. Fox Sports has snapped up the Saturday games and Monday night football. Fox will also simulcast all the Channel 9 games as well.
I think we've reached a really nice sweet spot where, everybody is getting, their ideal outcome.
Season 2016 kicks off on Thursday, March 3, the Eels hosting the Broncos, and it's Kieran Foran's first time in Parramatta colours. Damien Ryan, 9 News.
The jury in the Robert Z murder trial say they're unable to reach a verdict after 10 days of deliberations. Justice Elizabeth Fullerton has urged the panel to continue with calm and objective discussions. Z has pleaded not guilty to murdering 5 members of the Lynn family in 2009. 2 New South Wales schoolies have been released on bail over an attack on the Gold Coast which left a teenager in a coma. It's believed the argument was about religion. The 18-year-old victim was rushed to hospital, but doctors say he's now awake and is in a stable condition. The two teens are charged with assault and grievous bodily harm. The Prime Minister has just arrived in Malta for the Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting this weekend. Amelia Ballinger is there. And Amelia, a big day ahead for Malcolm Turnbull. What's on the agenda?
Well, Georgie, the Prime Minister will shortly attend the opening ceremony for the meeting, and later there will be a special session on climate change. The really interesting part of today, though, is going to be the Prime Minister's first meeting with the Queen at a special lunch for new Commonwealth leaders. Mr Turnbull is, of course, a staunch Republican. He led the movement for Australia to break away from the monarchy back in 1999. The Queen, I'm sure, is well aware of his stance on the royal family. I think we'll be seeing diplomacy at its best at that lunch a little later today, Georgie.
All right. Amelia, thank you. French President Francois Hollande has met Russia's Vladimir Putin in Moscow to discuss the fight against Islamic State. France is trying to win support for an international military coalition to take on the terror group. Cricket's pink revolution has begun. The first ever day-night test match is underway. Ayrton Woolley is at the Adelaide Oval, and Ayrton, the real test of the pink ball is still to come.
That's right, Georgie. The lights have just been turned on, which should make for an entertaining session with that pink ball. But already the fans have voted with their feet when it comes to this new test format, with more than 44,000 people packing the Adelaide Oval for what's been an entertaining day of cricket. New Zealand is 7 for 173 at the dinner break. But the day has, of course, also been touched by a tinge of sadness. Of course, 1 year on from the tragic death of Philip Hughes.
A year on, they haven't forgotten. But the commemorations on the anniversary of Philip Hughes' death were simple. At the Adelaide Oval, black armbands.
It's 1 year today since the passing of our good mate Philip, and we're wearing our black armbands in respect for him and his family. So hopefully a big week for the Australian team in honour of Philip.
It was the same at the SCG, where the Blues lined up against Queensland. Flags at the famous ground at half-mast. Philip Hughes' heartbroken family, who stayed home in Maxville, requested remembrances around Australia be kept low-key.
It's a sad day. It's been a very sad year. We're obviously thinking of the Hughes family in particular, Greg and Virginia and Jason and Megan.
During the tea break in the test, a tribute was played on the big screen, right on 4:08 p.m, remembering test player number 408. Lining up for New South Wales, Sean Abbott, the young paceman who delivered the fatal ball, supported by family and friends. Playing cricket with mates on the grounds Hughes loved, the Adelaide Oval and the SCG, the most fitting tribute of all. Neil Breen, 9 News.
In the news ahead, a rabbi fights back after becoming the victim of a shocking racial attack. Plus, the new diabetes treatment that could replace insulin injections. And Alien Australia, Ridley Scott's big new project in Sydney. A violent racial attack has been caught on camera outside a Melbourne synagogue. A man started yelling abuse at a rabbi before a scuffle broke out.
Go back to Israel! No, I'm from Australia. Go back to Israel! You want to swear Allah? No. You want to swear Allah?
The man was arrested and charged with theft, criminal damage and 2 counts of unlawful assault. US Republican frontrunner Donald Trump has caused outrage, this time by apparently mocking a disabled journalist.
You got to see this guy. Oh, I don't know what I said. I don't remember. He's going like, I don't remember. Maybe that's what I said.
The New York Times reporter suffers from a congenital condition that affects joint movement. There are promising results from the trial of a new diabetes treatment that replaces the need for daily insulin injections. Health reporter Gabriella Rogers joins us now in the studio. And Gabby, how does this treatment work?
Georgie, this therapy would benefit those with type 1 diabetes. It involves drawing blood from the patient and using it to grow billions of immune cells called regulatory T or Tregs in the lab. Those cells then infuse back into the patient to protect the pancreas and the production of insulin.
So what these cells do is they essentially protect against autoimmunity. And diabetes, as we know, is an autoimmune disease that leads to the destruction of the pancreas. And regulatory T cells can prevent that.
The therapy lasted a year for a quarter of patients involved in the phase 1 trial in the US. Georgie?
All right, Gabby, thank you very much. Well, it's official. Sydney is the destination of choice for Hollywood movie makers looking to make their next big blockbuster. Confirmation today, the next instalment of Ridley Scott's sci-fi classic Alien Covenant will be made in the harbour city. Filming is set to begin in March next year.
I got 3.5 months ago flying, and in that time is building, wrecking, finished casting, and so I start shooting it. I'm always pushing the gate to get going.
The film will contribute $60 million to the economy. Sport is next with Yvonne Sampson. Hello, Bonnie.
Good evening, Georgie. Coming up, Australia is in control with Mitchell Starc, the chief destroyer, in the very first day-night test. The local boy who showed up the world's best at the Australian Open, and Emily Seebohm breaks new ground at the Australian short course titles.
Hot and sunny one day, cool and cloudy the next. So what's in store for Sydney this weekend? I'll let you know shortly.
Australia's bowlers have taken the honours on the opening day of the first ever day-night test in Adelaide. New Zealand won the toss and chose to bat, but at the dinner break they were struggling at 7 for 173. Mitchell Starc, the of the bowlers.
Even before the gates had opened, the Adelaide Oval was buzzing.
Cricket here tonight, don't miss out, come on over.
At the toss came a rare victory for Brendan McCullum, who elected to bat.
He won a toss. Yeah, it's a miracle.
Then, pink ball in hand, Mitchell Starc sealed his place in cricket folklore.
First ball with a pink ball.
And soon after, Josh Hazlewood also entered the history books.
Out! No hesitation for the umpire, and Hazlewood struck in the fourth over.
While Guptill was out for one, from there it became much tougher.
Comes down and goes airborne.
Lions' early introduction did create some chances, but it was Starc who eventually dismissed the dangerous Williamson.
It's been given this time, so Starc has continued round the wicket. He gets the reward.
By now, the pink ball was causing major problems. And while Tom Latham passed 50 before tea, he didn't last long after the break.
Oh, it's out.
Peter Siddle then bagged the wicket of Taylor with some movement off the seam, and soon the Kiwis were in deep trouble at 5 for 98.
Well, that's edged.
Despite looking positive, debutant Mitchell Santner was the next to go for 31.
Bowls him. That's a good comeback from Starc.
But an ankle problem continues to cause much concern for Starc, who left the field nearing dinner. In Adelaide, Ayrton Woolley, 9 News.
World number 1 Jordan Spieth has made a move up the leaderboard on day 2 of the Australian Open. Matt Jones leads by 3 strokes at 7 under par. Spieth is tied for 3rd on 3 under. Adam Scott's putting woes continued. He's 2 over par, 9 shots off the pace.
Yesterday's wild winds had calmed down, but the world number 1 was just starting to pick up. A 30-foot birdie putt, the perfect opening to Jordan Spieth's day.
One of the best long-range putters in the world.
The American was charging up the leaderboard, birdieing the 4th, 7th and 14th, but he was left frustrated after 2 late bogeys.
More and he had it.
Overnight leader Lincoln Tai stayed in touch early, but the world number 1022 dropped 4 shots over 3 holes to also finish at 3 under. That's 4 strokes behind leader Matt Jones, whose local knowledge is coming in handy. At his home course, Jones made 5 birdies as he looks for just his 2nd professional victory.
That's a nice way to finish.
Adam Scott had a horror day on the greens, missing a host of putts in a birdie-free round of 2 over.
Just a little bit off and you're grinding out there, it's just one of those days.
Peter O'Malley had better luck, scraping in to make the cut after this birdie from the bunker on the 4th. Luke Duffy, 9 News.
Wanderers coach Tony Popovich says his side is unconcerned by a proposed walkout from the club's fans in protest to the publication of a list of banned supporters. Western Sydney are chasing their 5th straight win when they face the Mariners in Gosford on Sunday. 8 yellow cards and a staggering 43 fouls put Graham Arnold in such a filthy mood, the Sydney FC coach abandoned the post-match press conference. The Sky Blues boss was furious after another frustrating 0-0 affair with Wellington. Sydney FC haven't won a match in 4 weeks. And Emily Seebohm has become the first Australian woman to swim under 2 minutes for the 200 metres backstroke, clocking a time of 1 minute 59.59 at the National Short Course Championships. Her time was just a quarter of a second outside the world record. And Georgie, word is this afternoon, the Mal Meninga firming for the Australian Kangaroos coaching job.
All right. Thanks very much, Bonnie. Coming up, a quick check of petrol and finance, plus Belinda with the weather.
Good evening, Georgie. After yesterday's sweltering heat, a pleasant, cool change for Sydney today. Right now, it's sitting on 20 degrees in the city and 23 in our west. Will the sun be shining this weekend? A full forecast is next.
Tickets to Nine's International Summer of Cricket are on sale now, and we're giving away 25 double passes to day one of the Commonwealth Bank Test match between Australia and the West Indies at the SCG. For your chance to win, use the code word and call 1902 555 220 or SMS the code word, your full name and address to 19992 220. For more chances to win, be watching 9 News tomorrow at 6.
To finance, and the stock market closed lower today. The All Ordinaries down by 8 points. Our dollar is buying 72 US cents and around 88 Japanese yen. The average petrol price for unleaded is $1.27 a litre. For E10, it is $1.25, and the price cycle is on the way down. Here's Belinda.
Thanks, Georgie. We've seen a dramatic change in the weather over the past 24 hours, a massive drop in temperatures across Sydney today. The city only climbing to 23, which is an incredible 15 degrees lower than yesterday. Today, a few light scattered showers in the east, and in our west, temperatures 1 or 2 degrees below the November average. Richmond and Penrith the hottest, hitting a top of 25. And the cooler weather will hang around tomorrow, with this low pressure trough stretching right through New South Wales, bringing some showers to eastern parts of our state. It will also trigger a shower or two over Brisbane. Canberra is in for a cloudy day with a top of 25, and another fine day ahead for the cricket in Adelaide. Taking a closer look at New South Wales, showers are most likely in the far northeast, with the northeasterlies keeping temperatures along the coast in the low 20s. Sydney's weather will be very similar to today, with a 30% chance of a shower, most likely in the morning. And the temperature should creep up just a little, the city heading for a top of 24. Our western suburbs might also get a sprinkle here and there, and highs will be around 23 or 24 degrees, a cool top of 21 in Cronulla and only 18 degrees in Katoomba. Come Sunday, the weather will start to warm up again, a top of 26 in the city with a slight chance of a morning shower. The rain clouds clearing Monday afternoon, heating up to 30 degrees by Tuesday before the rain clouds return. In our west, we could see a sprinkle or two on Sunday, but it will warm up back up to 30 degrees. Then another blast of sunshine to kick off a new week, up to 36 degrees on Tuesday. Some showers arriving in the middle of the week to cool things down, Georgie.
Bit of a mixed bag there. Thanks, Belinda. And that is 9 News for this Friday. Stay with us. The cricket resumes next. I'm Georgie Gardner. Thanks for being with us. Good night.